Recording in progress.
Okay, welcome everyone to today's Tuesday, May 9th, 2023 Commissioners' Consent Agenda meeting. Let the record reflect that all 5 commissioners are present today. I do want to start off with just a couple housekeeping notes, just so people who are here in the audience can be aware that item number, I have a couple of people signed up to testify on item number 7A. That is not a public hearing item today, so we will not be taking public testimony on that. So the 2 people that have signed up for that item, that is written testimony that we take at that time and is not a public hearing item. So I just want to make sure you're aware now on that topic. So I will let people know that we did receive no written comments today for today's agenda. There was one that was received late, but you know, per our information that we take public comment until Monday at noon. And so there was no other written comments that were received prior to Monday at noon. For those are for the items on the agenda. So with that then, I will open up, we do start every meeting with our open public forum, and so I do have someone wanting to speak at our open public forum. And so I will open that up, and we will start off with the University of Washington President, Kalamari Kause.
Yes, thank you so much.
Very good.
Thank you so very much. Thank you all. I'm very happy to be in Spokane today to celebrate 509 Day. It's an annual tradition that we have on May 9th, 5-9, where we celebrate all of our UW alumni in the 509 area code. And commissioners, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak. I promise I'll be short. This is also an opportunity for me to say thank you to all of you for all the service that you do for the people of Spokane and for the support and partnership that you've shown us at the University of Washington as we strive to serve the people of all the state. This February marked the 7th anniversary of our health partnership with Gonzaga University, and we're very proud of the impact that having expanded medical care and dental education with Eastern Washington. We are so happy that this expanded health care really is allowing us to give that health care to communities in Eastern Washington, whether in Spokane or the rural communities that surround us. These are communities that are in desperate need of health care, and we want to serve them. The next generation of healthcare providers here in Spokane are getting world-class training in the new health partnership building, which is really letting them get cutting-edge learning and discovery experiences. It is about training doctors, but it's also about leading-edge new treatments and innovations in healthcare, because we know we have to learn how to do things a little bit better. And we appreciate all that you do to support this crucial endeavor. I also want to say how proud it makes me to see former UW student regent Chris Jordan. It is just all, you got it, appropriately dressed in purple, and it's wonderful to see him continuing to serve his community as a Spokane County Commissioner. Chris, we're proud to call you a Husky, and he's a perfect example of the fact that we have Huskies all over the state. And whether you are an actual UW alum like Chris, or the parent or grandparent of a student that went to UW, or whether you've benefited from UW's research or health care, or if you're simply a taxpayer that helps to make our public higher education system possible, I want to thank you. We really are here to serve all of Washington, and it is something that we very much look forward to, continuing our engagement and partnership, not just west of the Cascades, but east of the Cascades. So again, thank you very much. I'm convinced that by working together, we can make our entire state more productive and healthier. So thank you.
I want to say thank you, and I know you're on a tight schedule, but if you would come up and maybe we could all get a picture with you.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'll leave the public forum open. We'll come down and take a picture, and then I'll come back and see if there's anyone else.
And Madam Chair, we did not plan this. I did this on my own.
So I will continue. This will be second call for anyone wishing to testify at our open public forum for any items that are not on today's agenda. Get online. Yeah, no, you're welcome to come down. I have somebody in the audience. We'll just need to make sure you fill out a form when you're done, and you have 3 minutes. And so if you can state your name and address for the record.
Sure. William Hagee, West Hills Neighborhood Council Chair, West 3312 9th Avenue, Spokane, Washington, 99224. And today, speaking on behalf of the constituents in West Hills Neighborhood Council, we have a considerable amount of environmental damage that's rapidly affecting the wildlife corridors, encroaching upon into the tributary waters leading into Latah Creek, the Spokane River. Numerous arson fires, numerous dead bodies found, and there is poaching, killing of animals, eating of animals, legal fires, that type of thing. We've asked of City Council to look at this for an educational opportunity to help with the general public, increase public health and safety. So I do ask of all the commissioners to please show some support for the West Hills Neighborhood Council in this mission. So I thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. Anyone, this is then my third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on items that are not on today's agenda. Oh, we have one more person. Okay. So I'll say the same thing. You need to have you fill that out. And if you could state your name and address for the record, and then it's 3 minutes. So
Sure.
Thank you.
My name is Jericho Cairns. I also live in the West Hills. I'm an emergency physician here in Spokane. I've been a West Hills resident for over a decade. Like our council chair of our neighborhood council mentioned, we're having considerable issues throughout not just city of Spokane parcels and private property, but throughout the county as well. I spoke with 2 county commissioners earlier today. I appreciate their time and their assistance. I was at the Hello for Good event this morning downtown, and I believe 2 of you sit on the board. West Hills is asking for some representation with that organization because we're being disproportionately impacted right now. We'd be happy to escalate some of our concerns if given the opportunity. We have some photographic evidence that we would be happy to share with you as well. Some of it isn't appropriate for this type of setting unless you want to see it on public display. But I want to echo the sentiments of William that we are having significant ecological damage. We are asking the Department of Ecology to be involved. The response that we're getting from the Eastern Washington Regional Director is that they want the city or county to contact them directly to see what services they can offer. They have a wildlife biologist who lives in my neighborhood who I think is very concerned about the sensitivity of some of the issues, but is very appreciative of the not only the damage to the environment, but the potential financial costs that could be incurred by both city and county. I wanted to read very quickly, with the time I have allowed, some comments that I've received via email. Brooke Beeler, who's the regional director of the Department of Ecology in the Eastern Region office, said, "Hey, you'll have to inquire with the city and county. These circumstances are very different. We evaluate compliance and enforcement issues on a case-by-case basis." She also suggests that, quote, "I don't believe the issues you raise would lead to enforcement by ecology at this time," but doesn't elaborate on why that's the case. I talked to a few chairs of biology departments at Gonzaga University. I reached out to my alma mater at WSU. I'm a WSU alum. I also have a medical degree from University of Washington. And one of the faculty members, and this came from Gonzaga, Dr. David Bose, says, "I understand and appreciate your concern. As you say, the growing population of unhoused people in the Spokane area is a complex problem that needs a multifaceted solution. I'm dismayed to see the impact on the natural and preserved areas in and around the city. Unfortunately, we don't really have anyone on faculty with the professional expertise or interest who could provide any assistance. I appreciate your advocacy on this issue. It seems that scientific evidence of harm isn't really necessary. There's plenty of evidence of impact already." He goes on to say, the need is for politicians and those who implement and enforce policies to come up with creative and effective solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Again, last call for anyone wishing to testify for any items that are not on today's agenda. Seeing no one in the audience and no one online, I will close the open public testimony. Next, that's going to take us to a presentation. We have Kyle Tuig and Matt Zarecor who will come up. This is to acknowledge the 2022 Certificate of Good Practice issued by the County Road Administration Board.
Commissioners and those in the audience today, this is a really great honor to accept this award. And I'm actually going to have our county engineer, Matt Zarecor, whose team does the lion's share of the work to ensure we receive this certificate and all of the consequences, therefore, that come behind that, and give a little bit of background on this.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I appreciate the time to talk about this a little. First, I'd like to acknowledge the efforts of staff. As you might imagine, it takes a lot of time on behalf of the Public Works staff to do all the documentation and monitoring of the road system that goes into our compliance recognition from CRAB. And also I'd like to take just a minute to talk about CRAB, the County Road Administration Board. I think many of you are familiar with what they do, but it's a nice time to just remind everybody that not only do they distribute our portion of the gas tax that goes to the road system, which represents over a third of our overall income for the road fund, but they also administer some pretty important grant programs, one of them being the Rural Arterial Preservation Program, RAP program, and also the County Arterial Preservation Program, the CAP program. Both of those, the county is beneficiary of almost every single year, and they're a big part of maintaining our road system. And beyond that, they also do all the monitoring, the annual reporting to the state that's required under state law. And they develop software, including an asset management program they recently rolled out that's been a big benefit to the county. And when they can do it at the state level and then provide that to the county, it's a great resource. Every county doesn't have the ability to do it individually, so doing it commonly under CRAB has been a huge benefit. And finally, they also provide training. I recently went to training just a week ago on county engineer training. There's a bunch of state law around being county engineer, and it's really appreciated that they do that. And finally, they also provide conferences where we can have additional training and learn more about how to build a better road system and maintain it. So anyway, on behalf of Spokane County, I'm pleased to accept the award for the Standard of Good Practice and one more year in compliance, which is good for everybody.
Very good. And Commissioner French?
So as my fellow commissioners know, I sit on the CRAB board representing counties with population greater than 150,000. And everything that Mr. Zarecor has outlined is what the CRAB board does. One of the things that we've decided to do several years ago is create greater support for counties with software, training, and opportunity to get together and interact with other engineers throughout the county so that we can collectively make sure that county roads are maintained in a good quality condition, and that we also have accurate records about where our county roads are. And so without this certificate, our access to funds from the state go away and stuff. So it is a big deal to be able to make sure that you've complied, and the county has consistently for years. And a lot of this is a tribute to Mr. Zarecor and his leadership and the team that he has here at the county and stuff. So it's with great pleasure that I present the plaque, and we'll come down and do the handoff.
We'll all come down and take a picture.
Yep.
A lot of pictures today. Okay, so next on our agenda, we have two proclamations that we are going to be doing today. The first one, I'm going to ask Mark Madke, Kara Bauer, and Leanne Dixon to come up. And this is a proclamation, May 12th, 2023, to be Provider Appreciation Day. Commissioner Kearns is going to read this in as a motion.
Madam Chair, I would like to read this proclamation in the form of a motion. In the matter of proclaiming May 12, 2023 as Child Care Provider Appreciation Day. Whereas organizations nationwide are recognizing child care providers on May 12th, and whereas child care provides a safe, nurturing place and enrichment and development of millions of children nationwide, and is a vital force in our economy. And whereas the pandemic illuminated how indispensable child care providers are for the well-being and economic security of Washington's young children, family, and communities. Whereas child care programs, which are mostly small businesses run and staffed predominantly by women, are still recovering from health and financial hardship stemming from the pandemic, while they have continued to meet the needs of families. And whereas Spokane County recognizes that child care has been a lifeline for families, communities, and the economy, and as such has provided much needed support to providers to help sustain the viability of child care by providing funding for child care programs through the CARES and American Rescue Funds. And whereas whereas our future depends on the quality of the early childhood experience provides young children today, we believe high-quality child care represents a worthy commitment to our children's futures. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Board of County Commissioners in Spokane County, Washington, do hereby proclaim May 12, 2023 as Child Care Provider Appreciation Day in Spokane County, and urge all citizens to recognize child care providers. Dated the 9th day of May 2023, signed the Board of Spokane County Commissioners.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. I will say, any further discussion? It sounds like, is there, or do I get a call for the vote?
I just want to thank the folks here. I think we all recognize how important the folks in child care are. Thank you to Kara Bauer and all the folks for coming today. We got a lot of work to do, but it's a field that needs a lot more attention and support. So happy to join in this proclamation.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. So Mark, I'd like to give you the opportunity, and Kira, and I'd like to recognize that Leanne Dixon was the one who I got an email from reaching out and asking for this, so thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate that. So we'll let you say a few words, and then we'll present the proclamation and take some pictures.
Another picture, all right. Thank you. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Spokane Workforce Council, I want to express our gratitude to the Board of the Spokane County Commissioners for this proclamation and for recognizing the vital role that child care providers play in our community and in our nation. I also want to thank the Commissioners for not just this proclamation, but for your support through investments of several $1 million of American Rescue Plan Act funds and CARES Act funds in our community to help develop and sustain solutions to the crisis in child care that we're all experiencing. The Workforce Council sees child care as a workforce challenge that we all face. It prevents parents from returning to work or even working up to their full potential. With your investment, we've launched our Reconnect to Work initiative, designed to help families for whom the cost of child care is a barrier to entering the workforce or continuing their education to get the skills they need to obtain a quality family wage job. Parents can go to our website, here's a plug, reconnecttowork.com, for a pre-screening to sign up and determine how we can start providing them with resources. We're also working to offer services directly to child care providers who are having challenges hiring and retaining enough staff in their centers. We're partnering with Community Colleges of Spokane to develop a training program called Child Care Basics Plus, which covers all pre-employment requirements and will help alleviate some of the staffing shortages in our child care community. Once we can help to mitigate those on some of the staffing struggles in the child care community, we hope to increase the number of care options for available families that we're assisting. And our ultimate goal, of course, is to enable more families to return to work and help grow our economy. We can't do any of this work alone, and I also want to give a shout out to Community Minded Enterprises as a significant partner in our Reconnect to Work initiative, as they do a lot of work with early achievers and other providers in our area, as well as the Inland Northwest Early Learning Alliance. Thank you again for your trust, for your partnership, and for your investments that are helping to make Spokane County a better place for all of our residents. And I also want to turn it over to Kira Bauer and Leanne Dixon. They both own child care centers in our area and are doing amazing work out there to provide more available and affordable child care for our citizens.
Hello, hello. You guys have been busy. Thank you. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you. This is an incredible recognition of the very hard work that so many men and women do in the field of early childhood education. I do want to say that this is no time to sit back and think that we are done. The work is incredible and the challenge is immense. And the work that we have done together in just a few months ago, I came before this board and you championed for the mental health supports, not just for our students, but understanding that mental health and our students are a reflection of the environments that we create for them, which means we needed mental health supports for our staff and for the educators that are in the classroom. And so I do want to publicly say thank you for that. But I also want to say that it doesn't end there, because that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much happening underneath the surface. I plan on being a part of the Spokane community for many, many years to come. So this will not be the last time that you hear from me. And this will not be the last time that I come to those that we've elected to say, let's get to work, let's put pen to paper, and let's make this a psychologically safe space for all of our students. But this is a great way to start. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll come down and present the proclamation. Okay, and next is a proclamation to recognize and proclaim Eastern Washington University's cybersecurity team for their national championship. Stu Steiner, professor of computer science and electrical engineering at EWU, is here. And it looks like you must have a big group with you. So we will go ahead and read the proclamation, and then I will give you a chance to speak. Commissioner French.
Thank you, Madam Chair. They've all come out of stealth mode so we can see them. Well, so I'm going to read the proclamation in the form of a motion. And I'm very excited for you. What an incredible accomplishment. So just before I get started, congratulations. What a great job. So in the matter of recognizing Eastern Washington University's cybersecurity team for their national championship. Whereas the cybersecurity students of Eastern Washington University, also known as the Cyber Defenders, have brought great pride and honor to the university by winning the Centers of Academic Excellence Cyber Games title in Tampa, Florida in April. And whereas through their multiple accomplishment in the field, these exceptional students have demonstrated commendable skills, determination, knowledge, and commitment to the importance of cybersecurity, which has earned them this well-deserved national recognition and acclaim. Whereas the Eastern Washington University Cybersecurity Program has consistently demonstrated excellence in cybersecurity education and training, producing some of the country's highest recognized top-notch professionals and experts in the field. And whereas the current and future contributions of Eastern Washington University cybersecurity students to this industry cannot be overstated. Enough since cybersecurity industry will undoubtedly continue to grow in importance for our economy and national security. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Board of Commissioners for Spokane County, Washington, do hereby proclaim our heartfelt congratulations to Eastern Washington University Cyber Defenders for their outstanding performance and achievement in winning the National Cybersecurity title. Furthermore, we call upon all citizens of Spokane County to recognize and celebrate the remarkable accomplishments of these students and to honor their contributions to the field of cybersecurity, dated this 9th day of May, 2023.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further comment? Then I'm going to, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. So we are so excited. I would love to let you speak.
Thank you. I'm Stu Steiner. I'm the coach. I'm not sure I did anything other than put the right people in the right spot at the right time. But we do want to thank the Board of County Commissioners and you all for your time and for this recognition. It was amazing that we beat some powerhouse teams in the nation in cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is not going anywhere. It's only going to grow, and we appreciate your support for future cybersecurity, whatever events or anything like that. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
No, thank you. Well, we're going to take a picture, but I want to say congratulations to all of you. That is exciting, and it is something that is very needed, as we all know. So thank you.
It goes without saying that every one of those is going to make some obscene amount of money. So, what a great degree to be in. Thanks.
Okay, so with that, then we will get to the rest of our agenda, and I look to my fellow commissioner. We are going to take item number 7A separately, and then 8 is public hearings. So 7A we'll take separately, so I'll look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move to approve items 4, 5, and 6, including all sub-items on today's consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for items 4, 5, and 6, and all sub-items as presented on today's agenda. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to briefly speak to item 5H. This is the moving forward with the BriefCam video analytics software. I just wanted to, on the record, say a thank you to Lieutenant Justin Elliott from the Sheriff's Office for taking some time to meet with me and Commissioner Waldriff this week and answer some questions about this item and discuss the sheriff's plans for the Real-Time Crime Center. So I appreciate his time. I did just want to clarify for the record that one of my questions I asked was about whether facial recognition capability is part of the plan for this software. The answer was no. So I just wanted folks to be aware of that, that is a functionality that will not be used under this contract. And I know the commissioners know that we authorized a consultant to come on, do some additional planning. It's my understanding there'll be some recommendations about policies and procedures and just really the structure of this real-time crime center. I'm really encouraged by the concept. Look forward to being in further communication with the sheriff's office to shape this program to be the best it can be going forward. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That will take us to item number 7 on today's agenda. I believe Scott Chesney and Jessica Pilgrim are going to speak to it.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for your time and attention. We are back before you on the annual cycle of initiating comprehensive plan amendments. As you know, there were 14 submitted from the outside and 3 internally generated amendments. We're going to just kind of briefly review those and also go to the reasons why we're prioritizing a handful of these for immediate action and asking for initiation of others to go as part of our 2026 cycle. Next slide, please. Here you can see the scope of all of them again. Another dominant group on the West Plains, some on the north side, and a couple on either side of the valley, and one on the north side of Cheney. Next slide, please. This you've seen before. The group of these, the formal study is done once you initiate this and send it essentially back to us for analysis. And what we're recommending at this time is to take 8, this says 8, we're actually recommending 7, to go forward in the 23 cycle with the rest being considered in the 2026 cycle. This is the other initiative that you're going to be doing is the formal analysis of the urban growth area that we'll be asking you to initiate yet this month. And that is the formal kickoff to the 26 comp plan update. So some of these are really considered within that bigger urban growth area analysis. Next slide, please. These are those that are submitted. We have highlighted in bold face the ones that we believe are worth, or not worth, but have a priority for moving forward this year. And we made that priority call based on, most practically, the continuing need to provide residential land for development of housing. That is something that is an ongoing need both in this county and others. And we've decided, we've put before you those that will generate housing in the most direct path. So those that are in that boldface, plus there are 2 that are generated from the county. One which is taking some previously platted residential projects that are in a light industrial area and simply rezoning them to reflect their current use. And then one is related to our continuing work on our settlement agreement, which is Amendment 17, which brings in 2 plats up on the 5 Mile Prairie for a total of about 88 acres. Next slide, please. If you'd like to go through some of these, we can. Otherwise, what we have before you is this initiation. And a key point of the initiation process is this is not an approval process. It is simply the formal designation of these to be sent for study through the Building and Planning Department and our public agencies and partners. It will ultimately come back through the Planning Commission with public comment, public hearing, and then back before you probably in the 3rd or 4th quarter of the year. So this is a kickoff, and it does not indicate approval or disapproval of any of the projects, only that they meet the guidelines for being sent forward for initiation. And happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner French.
Thank you, Mr. Chesney. If we could go back to the previous screen that listed all of the different projects. There are two on there, the Cheney UGA swap and the Spokane Valley UGA swap. Can you speak to why these two are not moving forward in this cycle, but part of the bigger initiative?
Yes, we can.
I can speak to that. So there was a change to the law actually that occurred last year, and that was the ESSB 5593. And what the legislature did in that is they changed a subsection of RCW 3670A 130, and it is subsection 3C that allows basically what's known as a net zero swap of urban growth areas. But what's not discussed a lot, and which Commerce has just opined on, is it's inferred, and the language of that section, the plain language, implies that you can only do that during your 10-year update. And Commerce has issued guidance on that, and in Commerce guidance it says that they interpret, based on the plain language of the statute, that net zero swaps should only be considered during mandatory periodic updates and should not be considered under the annual amendment process. So that's why the Cheney UGA and the Valley UGA are probably not appropriate. However, there's an exception for comprehensive plan amendment updates that allows you to update more frequently than what's contemplated by the GMA if it's to resolve litigation. And so in the case of CPAIR 17, which is also a UGA swap, that is because there are vested plats that are vested at an urban density outside of the urban growth area that are keeping the county non-compliant with the urban growth, with the GMA, and it's causing us problems with our settlement agreement. So that is the difference between the UGA swap under CPAIR 17 and the UGA swaps under CPAIR 2 and 3. And I did want to point out that when we briefed the Planning Commission on this, we did not have the Commerce guidance, and so they were not presented with that information at that time. So this has only recently been handed down and interpreted by us.
Thank you.
Commissioner Waldron.
Thanks for that explanation. I'm probably still confused because it seems like the new guidance, that the new law from the legislature last year, it seems very confusing when land swaps would actually be allowed. And it's frustrating because I think there were some local cities and developers that read the law and interpreted it believing that they met all the 8 criteria that the legislature said you could meet to do a land swap. And then like Friday, I sat down with you and Mr. Chesney and Commissioner Jordan to get some education so I could get up to speed. And it was like the first time that we had seen this guidance, this fact sheet from Commerce. Is there any way that we could have a little bit more time to look at it or understand it, or have you spoken with Commerce or other cities? Because I believe there was a different thought around being able to use the new RCW to actually allow land swaps. And the Cheney swap seems very appropriate, but it's wondering if there's any way we could get a little more guidance on it, because it really seems that almost no one would be able to do a land swap under their interpretation.
So,
and I don't know if that was that was the goal of the legislature.
I mean, that's an excellent question. We're always trying to read the legislature's mind. Commerce themselves are confused. It does go on to say, if a county decides to review the UGA land swap applications, you should meet the 8. So they're saying they're reading it based on the plain language that you can't do it, but if you're going to, then meet the 8. We can certainly reach out to Commerce. My guess is that it will be the same confusion. So I think until someone moves forward and it's challenged, that's where you would end up getting the clarification. There are additional issues specifically with the Cheney parcel that we would also have to undertake, primarily that area has a lot of what is apparently looks to be ag land, and there were recently a bunch of new rules handed down by Commerce that we just got. They did the workshops in 2021 on designation and de-designation of ag lands also, and their 10-acre parcel, I believe, has an overlay of, I think, at least 5 acres of soils of concern. So there are additional concerns with the Cheney parcel specifically that we'd have to look into, but certainly we could look around and get additional guidance if we needed additional time. And also, just as a reminder, our recommendation, Mr. Chesney's recommendation, is not to not undertake them. Also, it would just be to undertake them with the 26 update, which is allowed under without question, would be allowed under the GMA as far as contemplating them. So, but certainly, given more time, we could reach out to Commerce and others and get some guidance, and the McKee folks.
I do know that, I know there's other cities like the Valley they were contemplating moving forward a land swap maybe next year. And so I'm wondering if there's another way we could approach it instead of pushing it all the way to 2026. I guess that's what I'm trying to look for, to allow for at least the process. But what you're saying is if we were to initiate it, likely you don't think that they could meet the 8 criteria? Because it seems like the city of Cheney is reading it differently.
Until we undertake it, we won't know for sure, but Cheney has additional issues that they would have to overcome in order to do that.
So a rural traditional is not, that's the zoning that's listed.
It's a designation, a special designation that's different than RT. So it's not a land use designation. The ag land designation is like a critical areas designation. And the guidance for applying those, for designating and de-designating them has just changed. So one of the things you consider is soil type, the USDA designation of soil, and the other is whether there's a bunch of different subclassifications that just came out, but it's like whether the topography would allow for other types of agriculture like cattle and such, if it had traditionally been used as agriculture, if it's a smaller parcel that's not ag, but it's a larger ag parcel. So there's a bunch of these that you have to go down and designate, and it also, they added language to the WAC for the ag lands, basically making very clear that they are to be protected and not de-designated, and when counties designate or de-designate ag land or soil land, that it can't be parcel by parcel. It has to be a comprehensive change. And so those are all challenges that Cheney would face, and all would be a part of our analysis on that UGA. But again, today's initiation, if the board went with our recommendation, it would be to initiate, and that work would start now. And then the 26 update has to be done by, please remind me, is it June?
June 30th.
June of 26. So it's not late 26, it's early 26 for what that's worth. There's a lot to it.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because I know there were folks reaching out a year ago thinking and speaking with Mr. Chesney that they thought these land swaps would be appropriate to at least initiate, right? You never know if they're going to meet all the criteria and be approved.
When we were first made known of this in 21, there was the potential land or UGA swap on the table for the West Plains, and that was made more difficult by conditions in the settlement agreement that said, yes, you can do land swaps, but they have to have a full capital facilities plan for urban analysis rather than a like-for-like zoning for zoning swap. And so that was the first complication. We worked with Brett and others at Cheney to say, well, here's the landscape. This is what it looks like. You'll have to have this level of analysis to move it forward next year. And then we come through and yet another set of changes from the legislature and interpretations of the GMA added more complication to that. Notably, that these can't really be taken individually so much. You can use that growth patterns, which this clearly qualifies, at least in our opinion, but you have to have this bigger analysis of does your UGA still require that additional piece? Because in many ways it's seen as an addition, not just a swap. So the world has simply gotten more complicated. One of the things we will be asking of you later this month is to initiate the study of the urban growth area as a whole. That will be the rest of a lot of our work for the rest of 23 and into 24. That will bring a lot of guidance as to where areas of growth and patterns are going to happen. I'm completely confident that the northern part of Cheney is going to be a candidate in those growth patterns. So we will probably see this happening. It's just that we're struggling with how to do it right now. And frankly, as our council said, the level of work to do it for a 10-acre parcel or a 13-acre parcel is almost the same as doing it for the UGA as a whole. So we'll be gathering that body of knowledge this year that'll help us make these decisions in the future.
Commissioner French.
Could I just do one follow-up? So you don't see the ag land issue being an issue then?
No, there's clear de-designation criteria for how that has to be analyzed. It could be an issue. It would be an issue that you would have to work around in land planning. That doesn't mean it's a fatal flaw, but it's a new criteria that is demanding protection in the way that GMA protects all the other resource lands under its current rules. So,
Commissioner French was next.
So on Friday morning, I had the opportunity to meet with the mayor for Cheney and one of the council members, and one of their top priorities is the UGA swap, and they're being challenged with providing adequate housing for not only their staff but their students, and so it's disappointing to hear the state give lip service, and I choose that phrase deliberately, to the idea that we need more housing, and yet they create these obstacles to provide more housing. And it would be nice if the legislature could come up with a strategy that was implementable and that would allow us to do what they all say they want us to do, and that's provide more housing. So it's frustrating, and the rules keep on changing on us. Thank you, courts and legislature. I will be a big advocate to moving these forward in the 10-year analysis, but if there is a window of opportunity to do something in a more expeditious fashion, I think I would be very interested in that. My guess is probably the majority of the board would be, because we all have that sense of urgency about housing needs. So I appreciate your explanation of the situation that we're in.
Commissioner, we will be absolutely looking for that window. If there is any opportunity to bring this back as part of something ahead of the actual 26 plan update, we will do that.
Any further discussion?
I have a
Commissioner Jordan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question on a couple of the other amendments, specifically on 7 and 8. I think during some of the briefing sessions, the idea of a kind of joint study or shared planning effort with the city around some of those West Plains areas was talked about. So I'm just curious, what are the next steps for that to move forward and prospects for it?
Certainly. Madam Chair, Commissioner, we initiated that contact with the city in 21 to try to restart what we call joint planning. At the time, the city put it in a more formal context of saying, we need to study how we're going to do that study with interlocal agreements, and we don't have budgets set up for it. We don't have staff assigned to do this. Frankly, we thought we could take a little more informal approach to doing it. So that's why we weren't able to make progress in 21. We have subsequently met with their planning director and their economic development director and have agreed to move joint planning forward. A week or so ago, they received a red line copy of the 2009 interlocal agreement between the city and the county that we updated for our current use. They are currently reviewing that, and if we can agree on the basic interlocal, we will be up and running somewhat expeditiously. I think now that Spencer Gardner has settled in, Steve McDonald has settled in a little bit. If we can get the interlocal to put up the basic guardrails of what the planning will look like, I don't think we'll be having to formally reassign people or assign budgets or assign dollars to it. I think the planning staff over there, as well as ours, with the support of a CEO as we're kind of growing our staff, we'll be able to move into that, yet this year and hopefully in the next few months. So it's I would say it this way, the concept has been agreed to, and is now the treaty is gone over for commenting, so.
So just to follow up, so the county has updated it and sent basically a proposal to the city. Is
Correct.
that accurate? Okay, thank you. Just one quick follow-up. Can you talk about the relationship between, and I actually spoke with Ms. Pilgrim about this earlier today, the ongoing work to fix our CFP related to past litigation with the process for these amendments going forward, how those two relate to each other?
Certainly, the most direct part is we must fix and cure the CFP and have that adopted by you before any of these others can come back before you for adoption, without putting them at risk, and that's not the point. So the highest priority we have, and one of the reasons we broke these into two groups and focused on the residential CPAs as a priority, is yes, we still have to finish that CFP and bring it back to you. Generally speaking, there's been substantial progress. We're down to a couple of key elements. With our CEO's help, we have gathered our department heads together, and they have made a great effort at bringing in their 6 and 20-year budgets together to pull that into a final chart. So we're comfortable that we're making good progress on it. But yes, the basic bottom line is we have to finish that before we bring these back to you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I just want to clarify to make sure that we have properly in our record which are the ones that we're going to move forward. So, because somehow in the proposed motion, 15 is in there and 17, and so I just want to make sure that we're all clear on what the proposed motion is.
Go ahead.
So the proposed motion would be to initiate for consideration in the 2023 cycle, CPAIR 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 15, and 17, and to initiate for consideration in the 2026 cycle, CPAIR 2, 3, 4, 10, 13, 14, and 16.
Thank you for the clarification. I think on the list, like 15 doesn't show up there, or 17, so that's why I want to make sure as well.
Right.
Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, I will look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of County Commissioners initiate for evaluation and consideration CPAIR 05, 06, 07, 08, 11, 12, 15, and 17 for the 2023 cycle, and CPAIR 02, 03, 04, 10, 13, 14, and 16 for the 2026 cycle.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Commissioner Waldron?
Well, I just wanted to thank the Plan Commission for their work to review these, and they'll be doing a lot of work over the next 4 or 5 months. And I do hope we can revisit the swap and get better, I don't know if we can get any better information because it's very, the way it was written made it really challenging to implement. But I want to thank those that are trying to do the right thing and, swap out land that really can't be developed out of the UGA and then put land in that can be developed. So anyway, I just hope we can circle back in the next year to see where we are with our land quantity analysis and see if we might be able to move some of those land swaps more quickly, and maybe we'll get some guidance from the legislature and some clarity in the next year. I just wanted to comment on the West Plains Thorpe area that Commissioner Jordan mentioned, that there's been kind of a lot of residential development in previous industrial areas. And I think having a sub-area plan with the city and the school district and the fire district there, really understanding the comprehensive needs is where we need to go. So I am a little concerned about moving forward some of the West Plains Thorpe proposals, but I think it's worth studying to see, can we support higher density with the city's water and sewer and the city of Cheney's, the school district of Cheney, can they support more development there and support whatever busing or whatever needs to happen? So that's what the process is for. So I will support, initiating the process and look forward to the Plan Commission's recommendations.
Commissioner Jordan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be voting to initiate the items as proposed. I just wanted to briefly comment on doing so with reservations, I think is a fair way to put my feelings of where we're at right now. And I just wanted to describe those reservations, but first of all, to thank the staff for the hard work that they are doing to manage all of this. And I think my main concern with where we're at is there's so much work to do. I worry about that. So as I look at all of the work that the planning department has to do, we discussed the work needed to cure the capital facilities plan, which is ongoing. We have talked at length about the work needed for the 2026 cycle. So there's been reference to a UGA study. There's been reference to land quantity and capacity analysis coming up, coordination with and outreach to our partners, commerce, school districts, cities, others, discussion of a joint planning effort on the West Plains with the city. There's new legislation which puts some new burdens on the planning department to try to address. And then you add a number of comprehensive plan amendments to that, and it's a lot of work. I do appreciate the narrowing of the scope, so thank you for doing that. Basically, we went from 17 to 8, I think, that we're actually moving forward to initiate today. But I did ask the question in a previous briefing, even looking at a narrower scope, what's the workload involved? And I think the answer was it's about 1.5 to 2 full-time planners until that process is done, if I didn't misunderstand. And I think the answer as well was that we have 2 long-range planners really focused on this type of work. And so that is a picture to me that needs to be addressed. So I am glad, and it's really just so that we have the capacity to do all this critical work, which everybody knows is so important for the future of our region. So I thank you, Director Chesney, for getting some talks going internally at the county about the staffing and work plan. It's my expectation and hope that a specific plan for getting all this work done is presented to us in a timely fashion so that we can have confidence that we really can take all this on. And finally, just wanted to echo the comments of my colleagues that I'm hoping we can revisit issues like the Cheney land swap as we go forward. And just to reiterate that what we're doing today is to initiate further study of these changes. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second on the floor. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 8A on today's agenda, which is a public hearing item. Matt Zerkor, I believe, is going to be coming up. This is to consider vacation of a portion of Pinewood Road, County Engineers Road File Number 2303 for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Thank you, Commissioner. The first vacation we'll be talking about is Pinewood Road. Next slide, please. So you can see on the vicinity map on the left, Pinewood is up in the Whitworth College area, north urban area of Spokane County. And on the right side, you can see in blue there, the portion of Pinewood that we're talking about vacating. The portion of Pinewood here is completely surrounded by college property. They own all the parcels adjacent to it and being accessed by it. And they are the ones petitioning to vacate it. It is essentially a driveway for some of their facilities type area. And there's no current or future public benefit that we can see. And in that, we would just support vacating that right of way. And happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Zarecor? Seeing none, thank you very much. Okay, this is a public hearing item, so I will open up the public hearing for anyone wishing to testify on item number 8A. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 8A. Seeing no one online or no one in the audience, third and final call. And I will close the public hearing, and I will look to my fellow commissioners.
And I believe this rounds out our work on Collegiate Day here. So, Madam Chair, I move to approve item number 8A and accept the county engineer's recommendation to consider vacation of a portion of Pinewood Road, County Engineer Road File number 2303 for Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item number 8B, which again is to consider the vacation of a portion of Wagner Road, County Engineers Road File number 5150 for the, sorry about that, for the Spokane County Public Works Department. And Matt, you're going to be speaking to this as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to start by correcting myself. I'm seeing Commissioner Kern's shirt, and it's Whitworth University, not Whitworth College. Sorry for that. Anyway, moving on with the vacation.
I would say it was probably Whitworth College back in the day.
That's what
right?
it said on the ownership map, so that was in my head, but I knew better, so sorry about that. This next vacation you can see is in the far southwest corner of the county in a very rural area near Williams Lake. On the right side, you can see the portion of right-of-way that's been requested to be vacated called Wagner Road. And you can see Williams Lake just to the north of it. And in terms of alternate routes, there's some good alternate routes considering the density of the area to the east and the west for getting north and south. Something did come up just today, and some property owners further to the south and to the west came forward opposed to the vacation. There are alternate right-of-ways that access their property, but in speaking with them, their concern was the alternate access was not good and not reliable for the entire year, and they have asked us to not approve this vacation. And for that purpose, our recommendation to the board is to continue with the public testimony and to leave it open for additional written public testimony for a period of 4 weeks until June 6th. And at that time, render the decision. So continue for decision for 4 weeks in essence. And happy to answer any questions regarding it.
Any further questions?
I had one just on process. So did you want us to also leave open the testimony, or take testimony, close testimony, and just defer a decision?
I would recommend leaving written testimony open and closing the oral testimony, the public hearing portion.
Okay. Thank you. So with that then, this is a public hearing item, and I will open the public testimony for item number 8B as presented on today's agenda, and we have somebody online. So we will get them going. The person online, Darren Bobby? What? Bells. Okay. Darren Belsby? Okay, I apologize. So if you could state your name and address for the record, and then we will start the 3 minutes upon that.
Darren Belsby, 7 Johnson Lane, Winthrop, Washington. And if my concerns were represented there, we own the parcel there at the very southwest end of Wagner Road being vacated. Yes, that parcel does touch Williams Lake Road, but it's a 350-acre piece. It's got that swampy lake in the middle of it that denies us access to the north. So we wanted to keep that option. We also own land down around Mead Road, just a little south there. and it's a flat shot out of there for hauling cattle, hay, and grain. Whereas to go to the south to Martin Road is impassable anytime it rains enough because it's so hilly and clay, and then totally impassable in the winter months, whereas we can get out to the north there on Wagner Road. And then finally, it's just happened this last summer, they'd be able to use that road for fire. Literally, that piece that's being vacated is right around where the fire started. The people were able to go north or south if they needed to escape there. And we would like to keep that option available too for any future possibilities there. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 8B on today's agenda. I see a gentleman in the audience. And so we will need you to fill out a form when you have a chance. And so if you'd please state your name and address for the record, and then we'll start the 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Dan Clark from Adams and Clark Engineers and Surveyors, representing the people who petitioned this vacation, who are the Belsby father and daughter, Arnie Belsby and Serena Belsby. They own the property through which this road passes. There's no road there anymore, and it's not being used. And there is access to the other parcels from Wagner Road to the south that accesses the parcel that the gentleman was just testifying about. So we will honor the 1 month, of course, and provide our written testimony also, but we are in favor of the vacation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that I'm seeing online? No? Okay, so then this will be third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 8. Well, I shouldn't say final call, third and, well, for the public oral testimony on 8B. So last call for anyone wishing to give oral testimony on 8B. Okay, we're not seeing anyone online. I'm not seeing anyone else in the audience. So with that then, I think you just make the motion.
Madam Chair, I move that, that the BOCC close the oral public testimony, but we leave open written testimony until Thursday, June 1st at noon, and that we will continue for decision only to Tuesday, June 6th, 2023 at 2 p.m. for further consideration.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to, I'm not going to say it, to do what my fellow commissioner just said.
Possible decision on June 6th. Written testimony will remain open until June 1st at noon. But decision June 6th at 2 p.m.
Very good.
Potentially.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, so we do have one by-leave item on today's agenda. The by-leave is item number 9, which is a resolution to authorize a letter to Spokane Regional Local Participating Governments regarding the creation of a regional opioid abatement council and provide a highlighted document of One Washington Memorandum of Understanding between Washington municipalities. So with that, Scott, I'm going to let you just speak to it briefly.
Thanks, Commissioner. This letter we briefed the commissioners yesterday. Essentially, it's a letter inviting, making the other 9 local participating jurisdictions, local participating governments, aware of our need to create a regional opioid abatement council. The OAC region is defined in the One Washington MOU that was negotiated by the plaintiff's attorney for the local participating jurisdictions. It is called the Spokane region in the document and lays out the 6 counties and the 4 cities that are part of that. So this letter essentially is initiated from the Board of County Commissioners to send it to those jurisdictions, inviting them to engage in a discussion around developing a agreement for all of the 10 jurisdictions to come together and create a regional OAC. It also requests that each of the jurisdictions provide a point of contact so that we can begin those discussions. And then it offers up Spokane County to begin drafting that agreement on behalf of the 10. There's no lead agency, essentially, if you will. It's just Spokane County offering to at least initiate the drafting of the agreement so all 10 can talk and come to hopefully a final agreement on that. And the other piece is through through the Plaintiffs' Council, which is Keller Rohrbach. They're advising that we have that regional OAC agreement established by June 1. So that's what we're targeting. And I think that's all laid out in the letter. And then we've also included the One Washington MOU with highlighted sections to the relevant areas that highlight the regional OAC requirements.
Very good, thank you. Are there any further questions for Scott? Commissioner Jordan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Was there any decision to ask for a point of contact by a particular time frame in this letter? I know it is a timely matter.
It may have been inferred, but it wasn't explicitly stated in there. But it's a good point.
You feel good about it as written, or?
We can certainly, if you want to do a quick amendment, we could, if you want to adopt the letter with a quick revised, with a date in there, that would be possibly helpful.
You're the last one to sign. You could just put P.S., get back to us ASAP.
ASAP. No, I mean, I don't, it does say a date in it, but.
It does. There could be a cover letter that we don't have to sign that could go with it, that could say that there's the letter, the attachment, and a date, which would make it maybe clearer.
Alternatively, Commissioners, I can offer Dale Anderson from my office, who has been working on this, can certainly follow up with these other agencies and municipalities to, after this letter goes out, to try to make direct contact and keep things moving along on a timely basis.
And even to your point, Commissioner, we didn't list out all of the electeds in this letter. It probably would have been a 5-page letter. So we specifically called out the jurisdictions. We anticipated that we would email this letter to every elected. So in that email, we could also ask for them to provide us a point of contact as quickly as possible.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Sorry. Would you like to make a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve by leave item number 9, a resolution to authorize a letter to the Spokane Regional Local Participating Governments regarding the creation of a regional opioid abatement council and provide a highlighted documentation of the One Washington Memorandum of Understanding between Washington municipalities.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for by leave item 9 as just presented. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. Okay, are there any other items to come before the board? Oh,
Commissioners, could I just ask for guidance or approval for the drafting of a proclamation to be approved next Tuesday for National Public Works Week? This is one that we have done historically. I think we did take a break during the pandemic, but we would basically just be redrafting a similar proclamation as we've done before to recognize the men and women in our Public Works Department.
I think you're seeing head nods, and that would be very good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Jared, don't go away, but I have forgotten to do open public comment before we made the vote on our by leave item. So I did need to open that up. So Mr. Anderson, you got to catch me next time. Sorry, I'm just teasing.
Good catch, Madam Chair.
Somebody else caught. So yeah, those two. There we go, down there. So. Just moving along. So So by leave item number 9, the letter authorizing the letter to Spokane Regional Local Participating Governments as discussed. I will open up for public comment for anyone wishing to testify on by leave item number 9. Seeing no one online, no one in the audience, second call for anyone wanting to testify on item number 9. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on by leave item number 9. With that, seeing none, I will close the open public testimony for item number 9. And now I will look to my fellow commissioners for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Still aye.
Okay, so it has passed unanimously after the vote, or the open comment. Okay, with that, Jared, I believe this is your last week.
Yes, Commissioners. Friday will be my last day here at the county.
So I want to take this opportunity, since this is our last chance on up here, to just say thank you for all the work that you have done. You were here before I became commissioner, so I mean, I really appreciate all the effort that you've done and the job that you've done, and it's going to be big shoes to fill. So I just wanted to say thank you and allow my other commissioners an opportunity to speak as well.
Appreciate that.
Commissioner French.
So I was here when we hired you, and we had to entice you out of the private sector to come join us here at the county, and I am very, very grateful you did. You have met all of my expectations in terms of what we wanted out of a PIO, and Avista is very lucky to get you. You will do an outstanding job there, and very pleased that you're staying in the community, because we need folks like you. And so thank you for the great work you've done for the taxpayers of Spokane County, and for this body, and for the boards, this board and previous boards. You've done an outstanding job. You got a lot to be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kearns.
Yeah, no, I just want to thank you for everything you've done. I mean, you've been here through some big ups and some big downs, and you're always good at lightening the mood, and a lot of times grounding us when we want to go a little crazy. But no, wish you well. It's not goodbye. It's just you're still staying local, which is great. But we'll cheer you on every year at the oyster slurping contest, and. Just keep practicing. You'll get first next year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. I was hoping we'd get a chance to just say a few comments. Thank you for your service to the county. It's just only been about 4 or 5 months I've been able to work with you, and I'm sad to see you go. But it's really been a pleasure, and you have a lot of talents that Avista will obviously be able to take advantage of, and so hopefully we'll continue to work together. Thank you.
Yes.
Pass. No, just kidding. Kidding. No, congratulations.
You couldn't find any words from you, Dub?
I know. Congrats, Jared. I remember when we did our swearing-in ceremony, you were up and everywhere and helping us with that, even just kind of getting into office. So you've just been nothing but a consummate professional, working together, helping us get oriented, and just really appreciate all of the words of wisdom, tips, and support you gave us when we got started, and wishing you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. If I could just say a couple words, it has been my honor to be in this position. I think for me, the real highlight of the 7 years that I was here was the various amount of departments that I got to work with on a daily basis. I think that, short of maybe the CEO or some of the executives, there's very few positions here at the county that get an opportunity to touch upon so many things that the 2,000 employees here at the county do for the public, and it's been a real honor, a privilege. We've had our ups and downs. We've had a lot of fun times. We've been through a few crises and a few pandemics, or one pandemic, but it'll be something that I'll cherish forever. And the last thing that I will say is that Avista did make it very clear that even though I was assuming a new position with their organization, that they had all the interest in the world to make sure that the transition was smooth for the the next communications person or position here. And you all have my personal cell phone number, and just feel free to call me whenever. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, thank you. We really appreciate it. And we're sad to see you go, but excited for you because it is a great opportunity, and Avista does have a great person coming to work for them. So thank you. So since there is no further business coming before the Board of County Commissioners, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all very much.